President Donald Trump's historic comeback in the 2024 election has left many political pundits dumbfounded, but one writer believes Trump's support among one sizable but little discussed group carried him over the finish line. And she was one of those voters. Batya Ungar-Sargon, a columnist for the Free Press and author of Second Class, How the Elites Betrayed America's Working Men and Women, had a viral exchange with Bill Maher, who challenged her on her support for Trump on last Friday's installment of his HBO program, Real Time. He mistakenly referred to her as a conservative Republican. "I was never a Republican or a conservative," Ungar-Sargon told Maher. "I was a leftist, and I'm still a leftist. I'm just a MAGA leftist now because..." "That makes no sense," a perplexed Maher reacted. While her label did not ring true to Maher, it did to many others. "Since I was on Bill Maher, I have gotten thousands, and I mean thousands, of messages from people saying, 'I am just like you. Thank you so much. That's who I am. That's what I am.' And these are the people who gave President Trump his victory," Ungar-Sargon told Fox News Digital, "because he wouldn't have won if he only got people who had voted Republican in 2020 in 2016. He won because he convinced millions of people in swing states and across the country that he had their best interests at heart, many of them who had been Democrats. And I guess that's who I speak for." To me, that's sort of what left means, along with all the other stuff being anti-war, being pro-free speech, this was all like left stuff, and now it's MAGA stuff, Ungar-Sargon said. The independent journalist, who also wrote Bad News: How Woke Media is Undermining Democracy, pushed back at the notion that she underwent a political evolution, since she says her views haven't changed much. "So I remember looking at that study and feeling like I'm about to lose all my friends because this is true, and it's undeniable, and it's an indictment of everything I think," she continued. "And so I remember I put it in a desk drawer in my office. I closed the door and I said, I'm not ready to deal with the fallout here. I'm not ready to acknowledge this. I'll be back in 3 months. And 3 months later, I came back and I was like, okay, what does this mean, Batya? Like, what does it mean you're wrong about? And that sort of slowly started to change my perception of President Trump, because this was such orthodoxy. Everything I thought was like, the fundamentals of what I believed were so clearly wrong. And again, you have this feeling of like, well, if I'm wrong about this, what else might I be wrong about? Ungar-Sargon learned this firsthand while interviewing working-class Americans for her book Second Class, with many of them praising Trump's policies from his first term in office. People would make a very persuasive case to me about how his protectionist economic policies, specifically around trade and the border, had put money in their pockets and helped them become people who could aspire to the American dream once again after they had thought that that was really off the table for them, the author said. And I started to see the president as somebody who was a polarizing character only for the elites. But when you got out of the elites, he was actually a very unifying person who had a very unifying agenda when it came to kind of normies. It's kind of like a plane, and the knowledge industry, leftist elites, the over-credentialed, multi-credentialed top 10% who now control 60% of the GDP, they're in first class, Ungar-Sargon said. And what they're basically saying to the American people is, we're happy to pay your ticket, and you can fly on this plane for free as long as you stay in coach, Don't you dare use our bathrooms, and there's no upgrades, and you don't get to say where the plane is going, but as long as you're happy to sit in economy, you can sit there for free, and we'll pay your ticket. That's really, like, the best metaphor for the Democratic Party right now.